Okay, hopefully we're live. We're ready to go. We've been fighting the internet or the software. We haven't decided yet. You know, it's weird because we'll like do test streams and everything's perfect. And the minute we actually want to do the public stream, something isn't working right. So hopefully this won't be too jittery. We won't try to change cameras on you today. I think it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. Wow. It's been an incredible week and lots of stuff going on here. Of course, we've been running around like mad because we're finishing up sort of the Christmas season, and it's been really busy downstairs, and we've been busy with other things. But I've got a great episode for you today. Just some tiny little things up front. Let's see. Some folks have been sharing stuff on, say, Instagram and on Facebook pictures. Thank you so much for sharing those. It's great to see those, and occasionally we're able to reshare those. So thank you so much for doing that. And we've had some great support with other things like people on Patreon and watching the videos, sharing the videos, etc. So thank you for your great support. I will do some question and answer stuff. We'll try to get to more than we did last week. And so hold your questions toward the second half of this. I've got some great content. Somebody asked, I can't remember whether it was on Facebook or YouTube or in the live stream, about Christmas drinks. We're going to do it. We're going to actually do some food prep here live. It's dangerous. I don't know whether it's actually going to, work out. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we're going to do it. We're going to try it anyway. So if you got questions, hold on to the second half. And right now, I'm going to talk about punch. Punch is one of those things that shows up in a lot of the literature for 18th and 19th century. Probably if you've run into punch, especially here in North America, you've thinking about punch, the biggest place that it pops up in is something like the Christmas Carol by Dickens, right? The Cratchits talk about the Cratchit punch. Well, punch was a thing in the 18th century and even earlier in the late 17th century. And punch is a drink that has to do with, it's mostly water, or at least it's like half water. And then it's got something like brandy in it, or if you're in North America, it might have, say, rum in it. And then it's based with a lot of citrus and sugar, and it might have a little bit of spicing in it. You don't see it very often. Let me read just a couple of little things about punch. Aaron probably has got I got some punch pictures for you. And punch has a lot to do with the punch bowl. You'll see punch bowls in period paintings, and you know that they've been merrymaking, right? If you see a punch bowl, and sometimes you see, gentlemen sitting around a table, and there'll be a punch bowl, and they'll be all, wasted or too drunk to keep going. Other times it's just a simple party, and a punch bowl is part of that. Let me find some punch stuff here for you. There's a great, probably the best description that I found that I really liked, and this is going to be the one that I based the recipe on. This one's from the Monthly Mirror, 1807, but they're describing a punch bowl, a remarkable bowl of punch from October of 1694, the Right Honorable Edward Russell's house. And this punch bowl was tremendous. Let's see where I can find it. Here we go. It is said the fountain, this is the punch bowl fountain, had the following ingredients: 4 hogsheads of brandy, 8 hogsheads of water, 25,000 lemons, 20 gallons of lime juice, 1,300 weight of white Lisbon sugar, 5 pounds of grated nutmeg. Yes, you read it here. 300 toasted biscuits, and a pipe of dry mountain Malaga wine. And it says, over the fountain was a large canopy built to keep the rain off, and there was built on purpose a little boat, and therein was a boy belonging to the fleet who rowed around in the fountain and filled up cups for the guests. So the guests would come up to the fountain, the little boy would row over there and fill up their cup with punch. That was a big punch bowl. And hogsheads, those are like 63 gallons. So it works out to something like, I don't know, it was 250 gallons of water, 125 gallons of brandy, 80 gallons of wine, and then whatever the lime juice and stuff worked out. So that is a giant bowl of punch. Let me set this aside though, because I worked these ratios down for our little tiny bowl of punch we're going to be making. You'll see recipes for royal, or I was going to say royal punch, but they always call it punch royale. That was usually a little bit more, like more brandy, not still like a 1-to-1 ratio with water basically, and a lot more of the lime or lemon juice. It's probably one of the more expensive ingredients here. And it says something like, it's more powerfully affects the volatile spirits. It doesn't affect your head as much. That's what it says, because of the amount of lime or lemon juice in it. Let's see. There's punch. This particular cookbook, there weren't like a ton of punch recipes, but I think this one is John Knott, and it's 1724. It's got a recipe for punch royale. It's got a recipe for milk punch, and chambermaid, a punch for chambermaids. So maybe they mean like cheaper punch, right? And it's got more water in it, less of the lemon juice in it. But it's a real similar recipe. There's a distiller's cookbook that has a recipe for punch in it. And this is punch. He even talks about how much this punch is going to be, how much it's going to cost to make, and then how much you can sell it for. And this one is molasses spirits, which I think he actually means rum there. Water, lime juice, isinglass, just to change the fining of it or whatever, and then sugar. That's all this punch had in it. So it's basically rum, water, lime juice, and sugar. Let's see. There's a 1787 recipe or a description. Here's an interesting one. It's talking about the Belgian court and so royalty here in this circumstance, and these people, the court, they sit down at table for they sit down at table 1:45 in the afternoon and rise from it after eating their meal after 3. But before they retire, punch is served around. The latter, the punch here, in particular to the English, the latter in particular to the English, as Her Royal Highness conceives punch to be their favorite liquor, which punch, however, may be called more properly by the plain name of good shrub, for I have reason to believe the pure element is quite omitted. So in other words, what they're calling punch here isn't actually punch because it's a non-alcoholic version. So we have people using a non-alcoholic version, which many times in the time period was called shrub. Eliza Smith has a milk punch recipe. I'll probably talk about that a little bit as we make the punch. Let's see. Here's an interesting reference that was showing up in, I think, the Boston Gazette, something like that. And it's a description of this person who goes to a victualler's, and he drinks punch there. He purchases punch. The owner of this victualler, he goes off into the back room with somebody else. And the person who drank the punch takes the punch bowl and the ladle, and he runs off to the judge, and he says, hey, this guy is selling punch in his location, and apparently he wasn't supposed to do that. He was only supposed to sell food. He wasn't licensed to sell punch. So the authorities there fined the victualler, and then the victualler turns around and he sues the guy for stealing the punch bowl and the ladle and gets him thrown in jail. So maybe the guy should have minded his own business. Well, in that one, there's another description of somebody else having their silver punch bowl stolen. And there's an interesting thing that shows up about 1736. The government over in Great Britain is talking about punch, and they actually wanted to outlaw punch. And what did they say here? Let me see if I can find the reference. It says, For everyone knows that a bottle of really good brandy or rum made into punch will go as far as 3 or 4 bottles of wine, and those who are well acquainted with taxes and the several uses to which they are appropriated know that the civil lift gets more by the consumption of 4 bottles of wine than it gets by the consumption of a bottle of brandy or rum. So there was something going around within the British government where they actually wanted to outlaw punch so that they could get more taxes from other kinds of drinks, because it was like, oh yeah, you're getting the same amount of taxes on 1 bottle of rum as they would say on a bottle of wine, so they would get more taxes by outlawing punch and selling wine. Really interesting stuff. So there's a lot of punch there. If you just keep, it's one of those ones where you just keep digging and digging, you're going to find more and more about punch in the 18th century. And I've kind of worked down the recipe here from this giant punch bowl in 1694, and I've got the ratios here. The recipe I've got here, here's my punch bowl. This is one of our bowls, our porcelain bowls, and punch bowls are really famous in the 18th century. A lot of times they're great big, but they were generally a porcelain, a very fine bowl. Sometimes they would be a silver bowl. So I'm going to be making the punch in our larger porcelain bowl here. I've already put the sugar in. I think I've got 4 ounces of sugar, and I need about 12 ounces of water. And I'm not sure. I'm going to have to guess on our water here. And I'm calling that 12 ounces of water. Yes, 12 ounces of water. I need about half that much of brandy. So I might have slightly less than 6 ounces of brandy here. I don't think I've eaten lunch yet, so, that's the other dangerous part about this. I have to taste this and still be able to do the rest of the stream. There's our brandy. We need wine. I've got a little bit of white wine here. I've got a couple, 3 or 4 ounces. There's our wine. Might have slightly less than that, but you get the idea. And now about the same quantity of citrus juices as I had brandy. And this one is mostly lemon juice. Now, if you remember, if I read that, it actually didn't list the liquid amount of lemons. It just said 25,000 lemons. So I don't know if they just cut them and threw them in, or whether they juiced them, or just exactly what. But I have about 4 ounces of lemon juice, and I have an ounce or so of lime. And again, you could just use one of these, just lime or just lemon. I'm using a mix here, just like this particular recipe had. Some of the recipes used a Seville orange, which is like a bitter orange, but they would just have one in there, so just some bitter orange. A lot of the recipes don't have that at all, so I didn't put that in here. And I chose this recipe because it's the only one that has nutmeg in it. So there you go. I'm not going to use very much nutmeg. I mean, what did it say? It says 5 pounds of grated nutmeg in, a couple thousand gallons of punch. So I just got a touch of nutmeg here. There we go. Nutmeg. And let's stir this up. And you see here I've got some lemon peel in the side of the bowl. And that is sort of one of those, it's a visual cue. If you see a big bowl in a painting and you see a lemon peel sticking out of it, or a peel, maybe you can't tell it's a lemon peel, but if you see this peel sticking out of it, it kind of says right there, oh, that's a punch bowl. In fact, Hogarth's painting that is in the queue there, I don't know if you saw that or not, but in the corner of the painting, I think it's like the Harlot's Progress or something like that. She's sitting there by the bed, and there's her maid that's by there. But in the corner of the room, on the table, there's a big bowl, and you can see there is a peel sticking out of it. So that's just a visual reference to her lifestyle. Let's call it that.
Hey, John, real quick.
Yeah.
Can you move that bowl a little more to the center?
Okay. A little
bit
more to the center.
A little bit more.
I'll move the wine off to the side. Most of these things are ready to go.
Perfect,
so there you go.
right there.
There we go. So there is our punch, or at least this version of punch. And there's so many different versions. Really, it's just, I haven't tasted this one. So here we go. And generally, it doesn't talk about them heating it up or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and put. I'm gonna actually pour some for the other guys in the room here. Ryan's back there on the on the question box, ready for comments, and Aaron is
not wanting to try this.
Aaron, why not? And Aaron is
Ryan
running
wants to
the equipment that is trying to be recalcitrant.
It's actually doing pretty good right now.
Good. Yeah, it's a fit making this stuff work sometimes. Now, it did call for straining this out till it's very, very clear. I've got a little bit of, the flotsam and jetsam hanging out here. So I'll set these guys up here for you guys to pick up, so you guys can try them. Aaron's gonna come up and get them. Wow, let's find out just how it turned out.
It has chunks in it.
Yeah, it's chunky. Now again, you can make your non-alcoholic version if that's like sparkling grape juice.
Cheers, Ryan.
What'd you think? John? I saw you try it already. Cheers.
It's deceptively really good. If you didn't know this had alcohol in it, you might just drink it right up, thinking it was just a straight-on beverage.
Yeah, we need to be careful because
Yeah.
it'll sneak up on you.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Pass the bowl, please.
Yeah. Hey, now. And you do hear that, passing the punch bowl, drinking some out of the punch bowl. Now, next week, I'll probably be doing something related specifically on wassail and it in the 18th century. And it's related. In fact, I'm not so sure that punch isn't what kind of took over from wassail. So, but that's a different day. The citruses are really good. I do think they cut right through and hide some of the alcohol. Well, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's definitely more sweet than it is alcohol flavored. I can't really taste the brandy that much.
No,
Right.
you get the wine, but the brandy is not so there.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm surprised how much the nutmeg comes through too. That's yummy.
Yeah.
Nutmeg comes through everything.
Hey, now.
Nutmeg cuts right through the next T-shirt.
Speaking of the next T-shirt, you guys have almost wiped out our T-shirt supply completely. I don't know what's going to go on with that, exactly what's coming next in T-shirt land, but
Hey, what type of brandy are we using?
what type of brandy are we using? Some stuff I found at the store. I don't know.
No comment.
I just look for a brandy that doesn't have other flavors coming along with it, that isn't really strongly flavored with anything else. But I just get an inexpensive brandy.
They're calling for John to do shots.
No, nope. No, I'm probably, again, I haven't had any real food, so I think I'm gonna stick it. Well, I might just put a little bit more because I did finish my whole thing, but not much more. Later. It is really good, isn't it?
It's
yeah,
really
it's actually
good,
really good.
I
I was
like it
kind
a
of
lot.
scared at first.
Right. No, it's excellent. So, if you have a holiday party that's adult, obviously, and you're looking for a beverage, especially a period beverage, and one that was extremely common, whether it's in Great Britain or in North America, punch is the place to go. That's the one to research. That's the one to make, because that is showing up all over the place for the time period. So,
Come on, man, do a
tavern
shot.
drink, whatever. Yeah.
Do a shot. They're all asking for it.
Yeah, somebody repeatedly in caps said shot, 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 shot.
No way. No way. So, great recipe. And you saw it here. First time I made it, I measured all the ingredients out, but I had not tried this before. And although I think at the conference we had a little sip. Yes, Ryan?
They're wondering where they can find the recipe.
Where you can find the recipe. I'll put the recipe together, and where will I put this recipe?
Can we throw it in the description later after the fact?
I can throw it in the description later. The stream's going really good, right?
Yeah, we can
So
repost this one.
last week's stream just did not work, and so we didn't go ahead and post the stream as a regular video. Hopefully, this stream's going to hold together.
I think the first half or the first couple minutes were a little
Choppy.
choppy, but now
We'll do our best. to put the recipe down in the description section of this video so you can find it later on after the fact. So look for that, after 7 or 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock tonight, and I'll try to have something in the description section for you. Okay. I think that we are, I think we're ready for questions if you want to.
I'm ready to go.
Good. Let's do it.
Let's go right into, hey, are those little cups made out of horn?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are little horn cups. They're pretty new product on the website. I don't know if we have a link to them, but they're really cool little cups. And they had little horn cups and other horn products. Very common in the 18th century. Of course, you don't see them much today, right? Because we make everything out of plastic. This is the 18th century plastic. Go ahead.
Should have made these. Made the punch at the end.
Somebody asked earlier, have you finished up your ginger beer yet?
Drinking that bottle that I had. Actually, it's right there.
Hold on.
Yeah.
No. Griffin Benchmark gave us $2. Thank you, Griffin. But
Whoa.
you got to do a shot. He
said
said, "Great
$2
game to do a shot."
$2. That's it.
Yeah,
How about
$2.
a sip?
That's it.
How about a sip?
Oh no, John's gonna be toast if,
Yeah.
if this continues.
Don't go there. Don't go
Thank
there.
you, Griffin. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Griffin.
What else have we got?
This is keeps on coming through. Do you homeschool Ivy? It's a question that keeps on coming through. I don't know. why.
Ivy is homeschooled. We really enjoy having that Ivy around the house all the time. This is one of the reasons why she gets to be in videos, because we don't have to pull her out of school for that. It doesn't have to be a Saturday. Ivy is, boy, I was just, when I'm standing there beside Ivy, we're doing a video, it's like, I'm just rolling, I'm doing the thing. And later on, I watched that episode because I don't get to watch Ivy, while we're doing the shooting because I'm watching the camera. And wow, that girl is good. I was really happy with. She really is doing such a great job. And yes, Ivy's homeschooled.
Here's a question about punch. Would common people have punch or just high class? Part one. And then the second part is this something people would drink all the time or just at special occasions?
The first part, see, I've already drunk too much punch. The first part is normal people. Yeah, I mean, you could see from the recipes. There's Punch Royale, there's Milk Punch, there's Chambermaid's Punch. And that really does just go right to the heart of the question right there. Is there are different versions of punch depending on the socioeconomic level of these people. And you can water it down more. You can have less expensive citrus fruits in there or a less quantity of them. You can do a lot of different things to make an expensive version of this punch or an inexpensive version of this punch. And so it's easily implied from just what I dug up, in the last couple of days, that it was over a large number of people. And it's the kind of thing that will show up in a number of different eating and drinking establishments. So there's a quick answer to that. What was the second part of that question? Whether it's just a time of year. I think
it was actually about gatherings, or just all the time, or if it was just special occasions.
I think it's pretty much all the time. I don't think this was necessarily. I think it was anytime it was going to be one of those things that was available, especially if you're at a tavern situation or whatever. Punch is going to be one of those things that shows up for everyone. Now, I mean, you can do the quick. I wasn't able to run through the literary references too much on punch for the 18th century. It's showing up, say, in fiction or other sort of journals and things like that. That's some deep digging. It can be hard to find those references, really quick. But if you look at something like The Christmas Carol, that punch setting, there's some at the party, and people of all age levels are drinking it, and the Cratchit family is all having some of it. So apparently there wasn't necessarily just restricted to adults in the situation. They may have watered it down a lot more for younger people, but I think it was available at most times of the year. While sale might be a little different, but again, that's next week or some other episode.
Hey, real quick, I want to say thanks to Robert Birch, $5 donation. Wants to know what are some 18th century party games?
18th century party games. Oh, I wish I had the research off the top of my head for you on that. I know there's some of that out there. There's definitely that kind of thing going on. And especially at this time of year, maybe Twelfth Night and other settings where those things show up. I don't have any of those off the top of my head that specifically work for the 18th century. I know they're there. I'll take that into some of my research. Basically, people ask me a lot of questions, and sometimes I can answer them, sometimes I can't. But I always just kind of stick them back here. And whenever I'm reading through something, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, 3 months later, I can almost start to answer this question. So thank you for the question.
I think this is going to be another one of those. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I also want to say thank you, Neg, for a $5 donation. No question, just a donation.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for that support.
They're wondering if there's a connection between the drink punch and the name for punch and Judy. I don't know how you would know that, but I thought I'd ask to see if maybe you did. You surprise me sometimes.
Punch is for Punchinello. That's Italian. That whole set of characters that all go together. And I don't have enough of that lore in my head for me to... the Harlequin and Punch is in there, and there's a whole, the tear-eyed guy and all this. That's all this like 16th, 17th century Italian stuff that goes into the English. So no, I don't have a quick answer for you on that. But I think there is some relation there, possibly. And it's also funny, if you read in the 18th century dictionaries, I thought I had some of those references, but I don't have them with me. But there was like, a punch, and it talks about something skewering, going right to the heart of something, like, punching a hole in it, and then you think punching a hole in you. I think there's some connection with that.
Thank you to Typewriter LG, $2 donation.
Thank you.
They want to know, besides squirrel, what's your favorite food? I don't know.
Besides
That's one of those like...
Squirrel and deer, let me tell you. What's my favorite food? I have a hard time. I have a hard time picking out any of those recipes that just, fly over the top of all the other ones. I enjoy so many of them when I try them. And so, if I was going to say one off the top of my head that would always pop up again and again, and if I had a chance, I'd eat it all the time, the toasted cheese. The cheese toasts. We did that one, I don't know how long ago. But man, that was really good, especially with the cheese that we got from Genesee Country Village. Wow,
Yes,
that was really good.
Also,
Really good.
thank you, Stephanie Morgan, $2 donation. She says,
you,
thanks
Stephanie.
for your dedication to history. Yeah, we just want to say we really appreciate any
absolutely.
donations at all.
Thank you.
Paul McKenzie had a whole side conversation going about a squirrel punch earlier.
Squirrel punch.
That was pretty funny.
Now there are like what is it? Cox ale, where they would take ale and they would dunk this like chicken in it, and you could do that with a squirrel.
Mm-mm.
I drank already too much of this. Go ahead, Ryan.
Were civilian coats, waistcoats, and vests made with canvas, and most often lined with what?
Well, when you say canvas, what do you mean?
Hey, Chris, when you say canvas, what do you mean?
So, I guess I would quickly imply, do you mean cotton canvas? Do you mean the duck kind of fabric? That kind of fabric doesn't lay very well. It doesn't work well for clothing necessarily. But certainly you see that references sometimes to sailor clothing being made out of sailcloth, which is like canvas, or depending on your definition. That's one of the problems we have here in the 21st century is cloth definitions versus what it actually meant in the 18th century. And so a word like canvas can mean totally different things in these 300 years that have happened since then. So linen canvas, cotton canvas, I don't know. Tough question to answer. What would it be lined with? Sometimes it wasn't lined at all. You definitely see references to that. but you would line it with the least expensive fabric you could probably come up with.
Somebody was asking about eating horse in the 18th century, if that was a thing in the colonies.
Can't answer that one easily. I think you do see some writings about horse being one of those things that shows up in dire circumstances in the military, but I do not have a really quick answer for you for that one off the top of my head.
And somebody's asking if you've ever come across any period Brazilian or Portuguese recipes.
No, I have not
haven't.
sought those out, and undoubtedly the Portuguese recipes are out there. That's something to dig on, and I don't know whether any of them have been translated, and my Portuguese is really rusty.
Did they use gelatin to clarify beer?
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
quick
Isinglass would actually show up, which is gelatin-like, the fish bladder stuff. And you'll see a lot of different things being used to fine beer to, settle it out. Eggs and some other things like that.
So does that stuff taste different the longer it sits?
Are you
That is a
asking me
question
that?
from me.
This question from you.
Yes.
The distiller's recipe actually says to make it up 24 hours in advance. So obviously they expect it to change. Do you feel like it's changed? Do I need to try? No.
Oh man, that's what I'm saying. We should have done the punch at the end because this is gonna get dangerous if you
Yeah.
keep sipping that.
Nah.
I'll drink regular water.
Yeah, Ryan's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So somebody's asking, hey, what's the next recipe all about? What's that going to be?
What's that? Oh, like next week's episode?
Yeah.
What is next week's episode, Aaron? He's got to dig up the paperwork.
Yeah, I need to.
He
cut
hasn't
it.
edited it yet.
Rivals.
Oh.
And I don't even remember shooing that video,
Yes,
but I know I was
yes.
there.
It's it wasn't called Rivals, but that's kind of what it turns out to be. It's this it's like Rivals if you're familiar with them. A fun little recipe, really easy, tastes really good, really interesting, and shows that that's another one of those German cookbook recipes. So it's a good one.
Yeah, and we also we really want to thank everyone for the super great comments we got on the last
Oh, yeah.
the
Little
Antlers
Antlers.
video.
Yeah.
That is, it's so great to see all the support.
Yeah, I was just floored by the just a really very, very kind comment. So thank you guys for supporting us in that comment section of the video. It's so great to be able to dig into an episode on YouTube and be able to go down through the comment section and just really have a good time reading them. Funny comments and very kind comments. So thank you so much.
Todd is wondering if Ivy enjoys dressing up and participating as much as it appears that she does.
Oh gosh, Ivy loves to go to events, and if I'm like out wanting to camp in the snow or something, like, can I go along too? Ivy loves to dress up. She really enjoys being in the videos and in pictures and going to events. She went with me when I went down to Martin Station last fall. She had so much fun doing that, and there was something up. There was some reason she couldn't go to one of the events this fall, and it was really kind of heartbreaking for her that she wasn't able to go to that event. So yeah, she really enjoys going to the events.
There are a lot of questions about your clothing. They want to know if you make your clothing. Somebody asked, actually, who made the white shirt that you're wearing right now?
This is just as one of our typical work shirts that we sell on our Townsends.us website. I'm always wearing one of our shirts. The shirts are all the clothing except for one pair of pants, style of pants that we sell. Every single piece of clothing that we sell made here. Either like in the building next door. I mean, this is like two buildings stuck together. We've got a spot where people sew next door, machines and all that good stuff. Or most of our seamstresses also work at home. So they actually take orders home. They take the stuff, they sew it to specification to the person who placed the order. And so that's one of the things that is pretty weird when was the last time you bought something that was clothing that was made in the United States? Okay, it was made by a person in their house in the United States. That's what we do. About half of what we sell is clothing. It's made by people right here. So this waistcoat was made. This is actually a test prototype waistcoat. We don't make them out of this kind of fabric. And I said, hey, seamstresses, can you make me up a waistcoat out of this special fabric and make the back special and all that? Maybe we'll offer this in the future. But we have great set of employees, just great folks that sew stuff for us. Knee breeches. You want custom made knee breeches? That's what we do. So just a story about clothing.
Yeah. My wife is a seamstress. We really appreciate when you buy things from Townsends.
There you go.
Pretty pleased with nutmeg on it. Did they drink eggnog?
I was going to do some digging on eggnog, but I forgot. I have not seen anything that's referenced as eggnog. Now, if you dig deep into this milk punch, you might be getting kind of close, but it's not like super thick that we think of as at least the eggnog we buy at the store, right? I'll put that in the hopper, and when I see eggnog or not see it, I will do my best to bring that to you in the future.
Pixel Bat wants to know about color. He says, I'm not sure, says 17th century, but I'm assuming 18th century. How vibrant were colors?
You would be amazed. You're probably thinking about clothing colors, right? I mean, that's what I'm guessing. Just to break off of that for a tiny second, they did that kind of stuff with food too. I mean, they colored it's like, oh, I want a green pudding or I want a red one, and they would do specific things to make their food different colors. But what was available to them in clothing and in cloth, it may have been very expensive, but they could do just about anything, minus the fluorescent colors that we might see today. Just about anything that you can imagine. They were not just, everything's in browns and grays. No, they were very colorful folks. They had some very beautiful, bright colors. So,
Ben Master disagrees and says everything was black and white in the 18th century.
You're right. That's right. This is before color. Everything was black and white.
I want to say thanks to Diggy McGee, a $5 donation.
Thank you, Diggy.
He wants to know what some of your favorite reenactment memories are.
I always hark back way back to my childhood because, I was able, like Ivy, to participate in reenactments when I was a kid, and it is like a kid in a candy store because, you grow up and you want to play cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers or whatever. Okay, as a boy, I want to. And, you can do that. You can see that happening. You can participate. You can, have a lot of fun in those events. I grew up part of the time going down to the National Muzzle Loading Rifle matches at Friendship, Indiana, and you're running around with a bunch of kids your same age and playing all that kind of stuff. A little bit later on, we went to a lot of historical reenactments, and so as a young teenager or a little bit younger than that, I got to participate in those kinds of things. Had a blast, and then in a modern situation, going out to something like Martin Station, just a tremendous event. When we went to Fort Loudon, Ryan was at Fort Loudon with us. We had such a great time. So
that was incredible. Actually, that was really cool. Daniel Barnack says an old world version of eggnog is called Rompope. Maybe look into that when you're doing research.
Rompope?
Yeah, I'll write it down.
Okay, good.
And then a lot of Dan Ralford, he just really wants a shot. He was wondering if $5 will do it. And a lot of people are wondering about this milk punch and wondering if you can talk a little bit about that.
Milk punch. Hold on.
Where's the stage manager?
Stage manager. I just throw all the paper on the ground. You can ask Ryan. Or ask Aaron. That's what I do all the time.
Oh, before you do that, real quick.
Yeah.
You'll remember what we're about to do.
What are we about to do?
Well,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you. $10 donation from Joe. I don't want to say your last name because I'm going to mispronounce it. But will there be future videos down the line on how to make dried fruits? Also, can you use other fruits in the apple dumpling recipe? Thanks for your content. Thank you. So dried fruits. We're
Right.
gonna do anything like that, and then
I'll do my very best. Ryan, can you write that down for me?
and then a substitute in the apple dumpling recipe.
You know, the apple dumpling recipe, I mean, the apple is just so prevalent. And you see it showing up in so many different ways, talking about that. And I can't think of another fruit, at least that's referenced, that kind of shows up that way. And what else is like apple in that, you know?
Pear, maybe?
Yeah, a pear, right. Good question. I don't have any references off the top of my head for that, but we'll see what we can do about dried preserves, and preservation is one of those great things to talk about anyway. A lot of people are interested in food preservation techniques, especially in the 18th century, so thank you for the suggestion. Eliza Smith, 1736. Her book gets reprinted a bunch of different times, but it's one of these real common. I think it's The Complete Housewife. I've used it many times before. And to make milk punch, I think it's the only punch recipe in her cookbook. Take 2 quarts of water, 1 quart of milk. So 2 of water, 1 of milk, a half a pint of lemon juice, a quart of brandy. That's a lot of brandy. Sugar to your taste. So she's telling you use as much as you want. Put the milk and the water together a little warm. Put in the sugar so it'll, whatever. Then the lemon juice, stir it together. Then the brandy, stir it together. And you can imagine it's probably going to make some curds. I can imagine that milk is going to break up. But then it says run it through a flannel bag until it's very fine. So you're getting out any of those solids. And then bottle it. Keep it a fortnight or more. So you want that stuff to age up. Sounds interesting. I don't know what it would turn into. We'll just have to try it sometime, won't we?
I want to say thanks to Alan Beckman. He says, $5 donation, says, "Hi, John. Always enjoy your videos. I grew up loving to cook and enjoy seeing how people cooked in the 18th century. Was smoking meat common back then?"
Very, very, very common. You see that showing up. I mean, obviously, especially in a northern European context, but you're going to see it in Great Britain all the time too. It is just one of the ways that you're going to help preserve that meat. It keeps that surface from being attacked, and it shows up many times. Although the recipe books don't necessarily talk about that a lot of times, because I think it's just sort of standard thought process. The same way you're not going to necessarily see a roast beef recipe because it's like, well, you put the beef by the fire and you roast it. Smoking meats are kind of the same way. There's not a lot of recipe there for you, but you see it pop up over and over again in other kinds of travel journals, and where they're talking about other cultures and talking about smoking meats, etc. So, yep, very, very common.
Mad Max says, "Woo, it's my birthday, so happy birthday, Mad Max."
Yeah.
So a couple more donations. Thanks to Sam, and I'm not really sure how to say this name, Laney Barrett, $5 donation.
Okay, thank you.
And then another $5 donation from SPC Kring USA, $5. He says, "Will you guys do a video of making beef jerky?" I say we should.
Well, it's interesting, in Nicholas Cresswell's book, he actually talks about dried beef as jerky. I'm not sure exactly what it was like, but if you go back and you watch the pemmican episode where we make the pemmican, we do something similar. I mean, we're drying the beef, kind of semi-smoking it, but you're just really drying it. You're not cooking it at all. And you get a dried beef product, which is a lot of, I think, what Nicholas Cresswell was talking about in his journal. So they did that. Now, I don't think most of the time in those circumstances they did much in the way of any other kind of flavoring. It's like there's the meat, you cut it, you put it over the fire in the smoke, but not with the heat, and this is what it's going to turn out like. Check out the pemmican episode where we make the pemmican, because that's what we do.
Hey, Roger Roop is asking if we'll be coming to Fort Frederick anytime in the future.
I hope so. I hope to be able to make it to Fort Frederick next year. What is it, Market Days? It's in the spring?
Yeah, it's in the spring. I was there last year. It was really great. Told John about it. I'd like to come again. It's really, really great event.
Thank you to, let me see if I can get this right. Kunarik, $50. It says, toast to the holidays and Happy New Year. Thanks for another year's fantastic content. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your donation.
Thank you for your support.
So much money rolling in, I can't keep track of what's
Oh
going
no!
on.
Oh no! Well, I had some great questions. Where'd they go? Where is my stage manager? I did want to thank.
1 second,
what?
real
Oh,
quick.
what?
Yes, you can. Some folks are wondering about Jim's Red Pants.
Yes.
We sell their CDs online on our store, and you can also find them on Bandcamp. Somebody mentioned that in the comments. I don't think their full catalog is on there, maybe just 1 or 2 records, but we carry them in the online store, and you can find them on Bandcamp.
I wanted to give a shout out to Omar and Larissa for sending us some things in the mail. I had a couple of great questions that came in via the comment section, but they're probably all down here on the floor somewhere.
Well, while we wait, they're
Yeah.
saying that $50, that's worth a shot.
Well, he even said toast. That's a drink.
Oh boy.
This is for you.
John, you
Guys.
should have me be doing all the shots.
Yeah. Yeah. Pay him as the pinch hitter over there. or whatever.
It's the least we can do.
Yeah.
Should we all do one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
I think it does kind of change. You guys need refilled.
Yeah, I should probably fill it.
Let me check. I'm not falling off my chair. Let me check the. Where did I go? Oh, this was hilarious. Okay,
Real quick.
you guys need refill?
This one's Ryan's.
Yeah.
I've got a mason jar over here if you'd like to fill that for me.
These guys. I don't even want to make wassail now. This is a bad thing. Here you go. I'm sorry you guys are on the other side of the electronic cord, or I would pass the bowl.
I'm scared to drive home.
Diggy McGee says, drinking with your boss on the job. Wish I could do that.
Anyway, so it is the season, right? Anyway, so last week's, I don't know if you were here for last week's live stream, and we talked about scary medicines. That was last week, right? Everything's running together.
That was
for me.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, scary medicines. Then you can find it online. One of the ones that I thought was just totally hilarious was the cure for baldness, where you rub an onion on your head until it turns red. And I thought that was very funny. And then I was reading in the comment section today, and somebody said, oh, you got to go check out a reference to some study where they did on onions and baldness. One small study, and I wish I had the comment here. I would read the person's name out, but I can't find the paper here. But I do have the study. One small study published in the Journal of Dermatology indicated that applying lemon juice to the scalp might help regrow hair in some people. I like that. Some people. So, well, one. Okay. Researchers found that hair growth started after Researchers found that hair growth started after 2 weeks of using onion juice, which was applied to the scalp twice daily. Almost 74% of the participants had some hair regrowth after 4 weeks, and at 6 weeks, 87% experienced hair regrowth. Both males and females participated in the study. Hair regrowth was higher among males. So apparently, they had it figured out. They knew exactly how to make bald people get hair again. They would rub onions on their head until it turned red twice a day.
Wow. So when you bent over to get a paper, somebody saw your vest is different on the back, and they're wondering, can they see the back of your vest, or can you talk about the difference there?
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So was that common in the time period to have two different colors back and front?
It was common if you had an expensive fabric on the front. So men's waistcoats were one of those places where you would show your wealth. And they had some incredibly fancy, expensive fabrics on the front of their waistcoats. And they would even do, you can see pictures where they would have, before they made the waistcoat, they would have the fabric laid out and they would have somebody hand embroider beautiful designs on the front. Sometimes they would have silk fabrics with designs woven into them, or other kinds of expensive fabrics. But there was no reason to do that on your back. Nobody was going to see that. And in the time period, most gentlemen, they did not take off their coat. Even indoors, that's part of your outfit. It's like your suit coat. You did not take that off, and so you would never see the back of it. So you would just put an inexpensive fabric on the back. And on the back of this waistcoat is our natural linen fabric, which is probably the best fabric that we have, that emulates a homespun fabric that just about anybody at their homestead would be able to weave up or have available to them in a very inexpensive way. So this waistcoat has an expensive block printed fabric on the front, and on the back is the inexpensive linen fabric that you would just, fill up the back with. So very common that you would see that.
So we're gonna read out these 2 new donations, and we'll probably wrap it up.
Okay.
Jeff Welch, your storing eggs in slaked lime has saved me more than this. Thank
Really?
you. Yeah, $5.
That is great.
And then Joe again, $5. Were there any natural topical medicinal ointments in the 18th century? Which type was most common?
Well, I mean, if you go back to that scary medicine episode, we talked about medicines, and they had, obviously they did pills, they had liquid medicines, they had electaries, which are sort of like medicine lollipops, but there were a ton of topical medicines. Some of them uses compresses, some of them in, sort of like salves and liniments. Very, very, very common. And it seems like basically they said, well, we have all these different kinds of medicines and we can deliver them in all these different kinds of ways. And they used topical medicines. Well, I don't know what the ratio of medicines today where, it's available in pill form or it's available as a topical medicine. But I have a feeling they used topicals a lot more often in the 18th century than we do today. But then again, I'm not a medical expert, so whatever. So there you go. I want to thank you guys so much. We're having a great time. I love doing these live streams. You did such a wonderful job of, doing questions, and hopefully this stream went well and wasn't too jaggy and whatever. And this is the first time we've been able to make food in a live episode, so it's been a blast. Thank you so much for all your amazing, truly amazing support, whether it's watching videos, commenting on videos, you support us with Super Chat or Patreon. It helps us keep doing what we do. Thank you so much for your great support, and thanks for watching.